Noswaith dda, good evening. Yes, we are back here on the NFL Cymru podcast. Myself, Dyfed, Guto Williams up in North Wales as well, representing. Guto, can you believe that after this weekend, which is week 4, we'll almost be quarter of the way through the NFL season? I know there's 17 games, but still, we're already week 4, and it literally, obviously you're waiting so many waiting for so many months over the long summer days to kind of for the NFL season to start, and once it starts, it just absolutely flies. It goes 100% gung ho. So hopefully we can enjoy our journey as we go. For those of us who are fans of teams who are 0-3 at the moment, I'm speaking of experience at the moment. But we're going to get to the recap very, very shortly. Yeah, time flies when they're having fun, when we're having fun, obviously. But yeah, can you believe we're almost a quarter of the way through the NFL season?
No, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, we were waiting all year for the season to start, and we're
Yeah.
already in week 4. We were talking before the regular season that we'll be doing a quarterly rankings of each team, so we'll
Yes,
have to be thinking about that after this weekend, David.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I believe, obviously, we're in week 4. This is going to be a really exciting week in the NFL.
Mm.
We'll get to those points while we're in this episode, but it's going to be an exciting weekend ahead.
And to note as well, Guto, week 4, and we are approaching the first international game that's being
Exactly.
held in first ever game in Dublin, in Ireland.
Exactly.
And I'm sure, well, your dad especially, Guto, is going to be looking out for that one, obviously being a Steelers fan.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's gutted he's not going to be there, but yeah, he'll be watching that one closely.
But he is in New York, to be fair, Guto, is that
Yes,
right?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Not a bad place to be
Not
fair.
a bad place to be.
No, no, but there we are. He can have the American experience
Hmm.
of watching an American football game in Dublin, if that makes sense.
Yes.
What better place to be fair. But anyway, yeah, we'll get to some New York teams at the moment because yeah, let's quickly recap on week 3 in terms of our teams, Guitar. Uh, both the Dolphins and the Falcons lost. We'll get to the Falcons very, very shortly because I think that is that is a bigger talking point than
Hmm.
the Dolphins. I think the last time, well, when we recorded this time last week, it was a couple of hours just before the Dolphins went to Highmark Stadium and played the Bills on Thursday Night Football. Every single Dolphins fan, well, mainly, I think 99.9% of Dolphins fans expected a blowout, Guto.
Hmm.
I thought the Bills were going to absolutely hammer us because the Dolphins defense have basically given up points, at least a touchdown or a field goal on every single drive, which is approaching a record, by the way, and not a good record. And the Dolphins offense has been kind of like stuck in first gear. We finally saw the Dolphins offense come to life. The Dolphins defense managed to get a few critical stops in the fourth quarter, and with, I think it was around 9 or 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, I stayed up. I stayed up until 4 in the morning, and there was a time, Gitter, when I believed that the Dolphins could potentially win because it was 21-all, 8 minutes left of the fourth quarter. The defense got a stop, a 3-and-out. The Bills punted the ball away, and one of our best players, Zach Sealer, signed an extension. He ran into the kicker, 15 yards, first down Bills. And from then, Gitter, unfortunately, that was our downfall. The Bills marched down the field. They scored a touchdown to make it 28-21. However, still after that, the Dolphins managed to march down the field themselves. They got to the 20-yard line with 3 minutes left to play. And I was saying, right, we're in business here. And I thought, Gitter, and I think many of us thought, Dolphins fans thought, that if we did score a touchdown, we weren't going for one, we were going for 2 to win the game. Hopefully milk the clock and go for the win. Go for 8 points and win 28, 29, 28. Unfortunately, Tua doesn't see a linebacker spying across the field, interception, game over.
Mm.
Bills eventually win 31-21, but at least the Dolphins came to life. We saw a glimpse maybe of the 2023 offense when the Dolphins offense were ranked number one in the NFL. Okay, maybe it wasn't looking as good as that maybe, but we ran the ball very, very well. Tyreek Hill almost had 100 yards. Jalen Waddle had 2 touchdowns, critical fourth down executions as well. So there is some life to the Dolphins. Mike McDaniel is still our coach. A lot of people thought that he was going to get fired. He's still there. We've got a critical game. We're playing the Jets at home, Monday Night Football. A lot of people are saying if the Dolphins do go 0-4, then that might be the end of Mike McDaniel era. I personally hope that it won't be, because I I've seen enough. Well, especially against the Bills, there are a few embers there of what the old team used to be, and I know there is a completely different breed. But anyway, I've gone on a 5-minute rant about the Dolphins. Gito, I know this is going to be painful, and I feel your pain. But what happened to the Falcons? The Falcons eventually lost at home to the Panthers, and to make it even worse, Penix was benched. Tell us all about it.
I don't know where to begin, to be honest with you. This was a bit of a shock to the system for me.
Yeah,
Watching this, I didn't watch the game live. I've seen the highlights of it afterwards. But when I was
yeah.
watching Sky Sports live, watching Red Zone, seeing all the scores come in, I thought, okay, the Panthers are 7-0. It's early on. The Panthers are 10-0. Okay, okay, it's still early on. 17. What is going on? It
Yeah.
was just a shambles from our defense. Ended up being 30-0. I felt like a Dolphins fan in week one, David.
Mm,
I have to
yeah.
admit, it's. I don't know. I don't know where to point the finger. Obviously, everyone did. Nobody turned up to the game. I
Yeah.
don't know what happened to the defense who played extraordinary against the Vikings in week two.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
completely different team. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if the setup was that different or not. I'm not too sure. It's and obviously Penix Jr. He had the worst game of his career. Actually benched, so we saw a bit of Kirk Cousins. He didn't do much either, to be honest with you.
Mm,
The new kicker, Parker Romo, obviously after the release of Young Hoku, who's by the way signed with the Giants practice squad.
yes, I
Um,
noticed that. Yeah.
After his first game against the Vikings, going 5-5, he's gone 0-2 in this game, but didn't score any points, obviously. So it was a completely different team to what we saw. Even against the Bucks, we had the chance against the Buccaneers to win. We
Yeah.
played extraordinarily well against the Vikings. This is not the Falcons team that we've known to watch.
Mm,
It didn't stop there because a lot of fans were calling for Raheem Morris to be sacked. I like Raheem Morris. I want him to succeed at the
mm.
Falcons. However, our wide receiver coach, Ike Hillard, has been released from the
Right.
Falcons.
Okay.
So there has been a promotion. I don't have the name off the top of my head. Considering that the wide receiver coach last year, both Drake London and Drake Mooney both got 1,000 receiving yards. So
Mm,
week three, he's already gone. So
yeah.
Bijan Robinson was getting tackled, and the more he got tackled, the more I thought he was going to get injured in this game. Luckily,
Yeah.
he's not. There was some rumours, second week in a row, that Michael Penix Jr. was questionable. The notification just came up on my phone that he will be healthy for this week's game. So,
Okay.
but they were getting tackled. The Panthers defense. They obviously the Panthers the last few years they've not been a great team, but they've got some tanks in their defense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know where to put the finger on it, to be honest with you. It was one of them games, we just want to forget about it. Props to
Yeah.
the Panthers as well. Bryce Young got a really good game, 16 completed throws, 121 yards. Hubbard, the Panthers running back, I believe, got
Chubb
a,
Hubbard. Yeah.
yeah, he had a very good game as well. And, week four, it's not going to get any easier for us, so we need to turn up in this game. We've got the
Mm,
Commanders coming up in this week.
yeah.
So yeah, confidence aren't too high at the moment. So we just
Yeah.
want to forget about this one. Raheem Morris obviously trying to rally the players together. Even Bijan Robinson made a comment saying that it wasn't good enough, and it wasn't good enough. So,
Mm.
we should be pushing for the playoffs, and losing, no offense, but losing to the Panthers, it's not on. Especially in this stature, losing 30-0. It's not
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Well, like you said, if you're a Falcons fan, obviously you
Mm.
hope there is a blip. Um,
Mm.
because like you said, it's the literally it's the opposite. It's a 360 to what was it a week ago when we were glorifying we were giving especially the Falcons defense
Yeah.
so much flowers for what they achieved up in Minnesota, and the
Mm.
fact that they can that they can go from one, I guess, one end of the scale to the other within a week is, I get, maybe a little bit troubling. I don't know if it's. Do you think was it, for instance, was it something to down to coaching? Do you think that Raheem Morris was out coached here? Because I noticed that obviously you couldn't get the Falcons couldn't get their running game going, which absolutely destroyed Minnesota. I think what Bijan got 150, 160 yards against the
Mm.
Vikings a
Yeah.
week ago. So they couldn't get their running game going, which puts obviously a lot more pressure on your quarterback. Um, Penix is basically in his rookie year.
Mm.
He's still starting. Um, do you think it was the right option from Raheem Morris to bench Penix in the fourth quarter? Does that show his authority and the fact that even if you're the QB, if you don't perform, you're not safe? Does that show a good message to the rest of the team? Or do you think that's going to be taken the wrong way, and that now Penix is perhaps is going to be even under more pressure, and potentially that's going to be bad for his mentality going down the line as well?
I think the only reason he decided to bring in Kirk Cousins is obviously there's been some rumors about him and if he's going to be the Falcons for the rest of the season, if he's going to move
Yeah,
on. Obviously, so I think Raheem, in my opinion, was wanting to prove a point that he's still a Falcon. Although he
right.
did
Okay.
mention in the press conference after the game that they are going to stick with Penix to be a starter.
Okay.
In terms of benching Penix, obviously he wasn't having a great game. It's been told us is one of his worst games in his career.
Hmm.
When you're Honestly, when you have nothing to lose, when you're in that position in the fourth quarter, but obviously it's happened before. It happened last season. I was at the game when we were playing against the Seattle Seahawks. He brought in Penix Jr. halfway through the fourth quarter, so he's done it
Okay.
before.
Hmm.
And I think that was the first time he actually benched Kirk Cousins as well during the game. So obviously vice versa here last week with Penix. So um, yeah, I don't know. There was rumors as well, especially with the iKilled situation. Before he got the release, there was some stupid reports saying that the headset between the head coach and the wide receiver coach, there was no connections there in the first three games, so they were going to bring him
Hmm.
to the sideline.
Okay.
But then a day later, he was released. So I
Right.
don't know. It's just typical Falcons banter
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
nonsense going on. So yeah, we just want to forget about this week, move on to the Commanders. But we're not feeling confident about it. I'm not, anyway, against the Commanders. Something has to change. We need to get that click back from the Vikings game. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be a difficult one. The Commanders,
Yeah.
they're up there as one of the best in the NFL at the moment. So it's
However, Gito, I have to say about the Commanders, I'm a little bit worried because they haven't had the best start, and also I can't even remember if Jaden Daniels is actually going to be starting this game
no.
because he was injured.
Marcus
He got injured.
Mariota was starting. Yeah,
Mariota, yeah,
yeah.
Mariota played last
The
Sunday.
former Falcon. So there we go.
So you
That's
might
a,
so you
that's
might be playing so you might be playing Mariota, but I still
yeah.
believe that the Commanders won even with Mariota as well.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they did. So it'll be interesting to see if you will be playing Mariota or perhaps not Jaden Daniels out there, not 100%. If he's
Yeah.
not 100%, I doubt, especially after coming off a win, that they wouldn't start Mariota. Um, so we'll see. So yeah, we'll see. Are you home or away?
We're playing. I need to get this up. Bear with us 2 seconds. We are home. We're at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so
Okay.
there's a bit of a home
So you
advantage
so
there. Yeah.
So this is good. Obviously, a good opportunity for the Falcons to respond, because to get that running game going back again, and to get the defense looking as dominant as they were up in Minnesota as well. But I was going to say the luxury that the Falcons have, obviously, with their QB situation, is that you can turn to Kirk Cousins as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, it's actually good that Raheem Morris, I think, has come out and said that Penix is the starter and
Mm.
he will be starting this game, because, the last thing that you want to do, especially with a really, really young quarterback, is to mess with his head and to kind of
Yeah.
make him think twice about whether he does have the backing of the coaches and and the franchise behind him. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond against like we said, a Washington Commanders team without their QB1, without Jaden Daniels potentially, who
Yeah.
might be out for a second week. Guto, what other game did you enjoy during week 3?
Oh, wow. We had a bit of a dramatic end between the Rams and the Eagles.
Yes.
Eagles with a block field goal to go for a pick
Yeah.
six to win the game.
Yeah.
Potential NFC Championship game. Who knows?
Yeah.
Two pretty strong team in the NFC. Should we talk about the Buccaneers game against the Jets?
I'm
Obviously, that
glad.
was another crazy ending there as well.
Yeah,
I don't know if you see the dance moves from the Jets head coach
I
celebrating
did.
so early. I think when we all saw that, we all thought, right, there's still 2 minutes left. The Bucks are going to win.
Karma.
Karma's
Yeah.
coming back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, great win there for the Bucks. They're 3-0. They're
Yes.
contending for a championship game as well. Would you think at the moment?
The what? Sorry.
Do you think they're in contention for the NFC Championship game as well, or close enough?
Oh, do you know what?
They're looking really good.
If Baker Mayfield
Mm.
keeps playing like he is at the moment,
Yeah. We'll
because
see.
because
Well, see,
yes,
sorry to interrupt you, but we'll see a lot this week with Mike Evans being injured. Can
yes,
Ekbuka handle it all on his own?
mm. because this week the Bucks they're
The,
playing the Eagles, aren't they?
the Bucks are playing Eagles, and a bit of a surprise there
Oof.
for our 5 of the week, which we'll be going back to later on.
Yeah.
That will be one of our 5 of the weeks game, so that's going to be a
Coming
good game to watch.
coming back to the Bucks games, Gittor, that was another crazy one. You said that there was a blocked field goal pick six
Yes.
in the Eagles game. There was also one in the Bucks Jets game as well in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter.
Hmm.
The Jets ran it back, and that's when you see the coach, like you said, Aaron Glenn,
Yeah.
sprinting / dancing down the sideline, and myself as a Dolphins fan sitting there 0-3.
Yeah.
The Jets were 0-2 at the time. I was like, oh no,
It
please don't let
reminded
them win, and
me.
especially
Yeah.
this way. And without Justin Fields as well.
Hmm.
They were playing with their backup quarterback in Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
But thankfully, luckily I managed to catch that fourth quarter, that winning drive that Baker managed to get. He basically went back to Ibuka, and it was literally, he was carving the Jets defense up, who apparently the Jets defense once upon a time were one of the best defenses in the NFL. I'm sorry. Everyone puts a lot of praise on Sauce Gardner. He got absolutely smoked by Ibuka on the weekend. I love
Yeah.
to see it. Anyway,
Yeah.
so this is why we have picked Mr. Baker Mayfield as our player of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we took it to a vote because we can
Yeah.
decide what we wanted to do. We'll talk about the other player in just a moment, but with Baker Mayfield, he did win the vote. It was really close. We did a vote on Instagram and on Twitter, so thank you for all who voted and helped us pick our player of the week. But with Baker Mayfield, he's done it 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
The last minute drive, the last drive to win the game for the Buccaneers. We have to give him his flowers there. We have to give him that
Absolutely.
reward of the NFL Coming Welsh Player of the Week. The other player that we had in mind was Caleb Williams of the Chicago
Yes.
Bears, who it was an upset win against the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas as well.
Yeah.
No, was it in Dallas or was it in Chicago? I don't
I
remember.
think it was in Chicago. I
In
could be wrong,
Chicago.
but I think it was in
But
Chicago.
you know, we've been talking about the Bears for the last 3 weeks, and they definitely brought their A game in this game here. Caleb Williams had an outstanding game, and do you think the Bears have finally arrived this season, being 1-2 now? Or
Well, well, look, it's a brilliant response after being after that beat down, that smackdown that they had a week ago, or week and a half ago against Detroit, and obviously
Mm.
the backstory there was obviously the Lions' former offensive coordinator, now the head coach of the Chicago Bears, going back to Detroit for the first time, and obviously and then the week before, everyone was talking about, oh, well, are Detroit going to be the same team because they lost their Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator, to the Jets, and then they also lost the offensive coordinator to the Bears as well. And then what a response that was. I think that was a historic night for the Lions. I think Jared Goff threw 5 touchdowns, I believe. They scored 52 points against the Bears.
yeah,
So don't get me wrong, it's a brilliant response, but ultimately, Guitar, I think this is rather worrying signs for the Dallas defense, who, to be fair, week 1 looked pretty solid against the Packers up in Lambeau, but they're falling off, and they're falling off quick. They're falling off fast, aren't they?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the story of the Cowboys' history, really. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
obviously with the defense, and obviously losing Michael Parsons as well, they don't have that boost in their defense. So they've got a
Mm.
big game coming up in week 4, an interesting game. Speaking of Michael Parsons, it will be Cowboys Packers, so that will be a really
Yes.
interesting game to watch as well. I think
So
that's
it's
I think that'll be
yeah.
a late game as well. So that's going to be
Micah
interesting.
Parsons returns to Dallas for the first
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
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 We have a really stacked week 4 on our cards still, Ed.
No, no, exactly. That's true.
Mm.
That's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's another game to look out for.
Mm.
The only game in week 3 that we haven't talked about, Guitar, and the other player that maybe I thought that deserved to put into the pot of who would be player for the week
Mm.
was Detroit Lions running back David Montgomery, who just went off against the Baltimore Ravens as well.
Yeah.
So a massive, massive win for Detroit, 38-30 at Baltimore, Monday Night Football. So that's 2 massive bounce back wins for the Detroit Lions after losing their week 1 game at the Packers and looking rather sheepish, I have to say, especially on offense. But now they've scored 52 points against the Bears, and they've scored 38 points at the Ravens as well. It's mad to think it after 3 weeks. Who would have thought that the Ravens are 1-2?
Yeah. Exactly. No. Favorites for the Super Bowl for most.
In my
Um.
eyes as well. Yeah, I picked
Yeah.
them. But to be
Crazy.
fair, you have to look. They've played the Lions and they've played the Bills as well. And it doesn't get any easier for
Doesn't get
them
any
because we're
easier.
going to be coming. Yeah, we're gonna talk about who they're playing. They're playing the Chiefs.
Mm.
Um, in week 4 as well. So yeah, it's incredible to think. Although, Gito, to be fair, the Ravens did start 0-2 last year, and they ended up winning 12 or 13 games, I believe. I can't remember.
Mm.
I think they were 12-5. But and what's going on with Derrick Henry and fumbling? He's fumbled in every single game so far.
He has, yeah.
Wild.
An interview came up with Derrick Henry. I've just lost it, but he. A lot of people saying that he's frustrated in training camp
Mm,
with all the fumbles he's been doing. So, um, he needs to get out of the headspace and just get back to his best. Because
absolutely.
I'm not saying he's the reason he's letting the Ravens down or anything, but obviously he just needs to get out of that headspace. Um, Maybe to get
Yeah.
some extra help from his teammates or anything. I don't know, but he needs to get back to his best real soon, or
Well,
it could be a long season well, not a long season, but could be dangerous for the Ravens with the tough games
well,
coming up.
to be fair, I mean, Derrick Henry looked like himself, a prolific
Mm.
Derrick Henry in week 1, where
Yeah,
let's be honest, he carved up the Bills defense. I think he rushed for over 150 yards, absolutely killed them. But ultimately, the story of his season so far have been costly fumbles, and in the fourth quarter as well. He did it up in Buffalo, and I think he did it in the fourth quarter
Mm.
against the Lions as well, which ultimately won the game for Detroit. That's a massive win for them on the road as well, because last year, I believe, they lost heavily to the Ravens at Baltimore. I think Baltimore scored close to 40 points against them. So, mentally, that's massive for Detroit and
Yeah.
puts them in a really, really good situation going into week 4 as well. Okay, sorry, we've jumped back to week 3. We're going to go back to week 4. So we've just announced that Baker Mayfield is player of the week, deservedly so. But I just wanted to note that David Montgomery, for me, I'm really glad that he's in my fantasy team.
Yeah.
So, he did very, very well. I think he scored 2 touchdowns, over 150 yards. The Detroit Lions rushed for close to 250 because Jahmyr Gibbs also went for 100 yards. So yeah, big win for the Lions. So let's talk about the Ravens then. So the Ravens are going to be playing the Chiefs, who got off the mark. They beat the Giants
Yeah.
in week 3. Who do you think? Who's gonna win this one, Guitar? You've got the 1-2 Baltimore Ravens at the 1-2 Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm. Yeah. Um, we did have to think about this one. I think do we just go with who we pick for our 5 of the week and why?
Yeah,
No.
let's go for 5 of the week.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, because
So
this game is obviously included in
yeah.
our five
Yeah.
of the week. Probably
So
one of the tastiest matchups. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. So it's here in the UK. It'll be a 25 past 9 game. So nice little slot there
nice.
after the other games. But yeah, we've gone with the Chiefs winning at home in Arrowhead.
Yeah,
That's what we've decided to go for. Um, yeah, they got off the mark against the Giants. Not a major surprise there, to be honest with you.
no,
We'll talk about the Giants later on as well. Um, but I think they need to start stepping up now. The Chiefs, they need to start being a little bit more serious in these games. Obviously, they started off 0-2. They technically lost 3 games in a row if you're talking about the Super Bowl as well. So
mm,
they really need
mm.
to start getting their A game going out. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, the wide receiver room, they really need to start getting their A games now and start being a serious team again. If they even wish about, it's weird to say it, but wish making the playoffs, let alone making the Super Bowl. It's
Yeah.
it's that situation for them at the moment. They're not. They don't seem to be that top team in the NFL right now. So they really need to step up their A game. And we think they can do it in this game. I think there'll be a good step for them to. If they beat the Ravens, they'll be in a good path to make the playoffs and maybe even further.
Well, look, obviously, the majority of you guys know how big of a fan I am of Patrick Mahomes, and ultimately, I think he is the best. He is the GOAT. He's the best. Whatever anyone says, for me, he's the
Yeah,
best quarterback player that I've ever witnessed in my lifetime as well. And the miracles that he is providing, that he's doing up in Kansas City, in because they don't have a running game. They don't they wide receiver they without their top 2 wide receivers. However, I am told that Xavier Worthy potentially might be back for this game. He's
mm,
questionable to start. Obviously, they're without Rashee Rice. They're going to be without him for another 2 weeks as well until week 6. Travis Kelce is finding life difficult, getting frustrated. Like I said, no running game. So
yeah,
that's what we've seen over the last couple of weeks is Tyquan Thornton. He stepped up massively for the Chiefs, and ultimately Patrick Mahomes, just being Patrick Mahomes, using his legs as he does so well, especially in the playoffs. Um, and he's been literally putting his team on his back.
yeah,
The defense haven't been as dominant as I thought they would be, but maybe we'll see them warming up towards, close to playoff time towards the end of the latter ends of the season. I hope, because I've got the Chiefs as in my fantasy as well. But what Patrick Mahomes is doing at the moment with a dodgy offensive line, no running game, is absolutely incredible. So ultimately, we have picked the Chiefs, like you said, to beat the Ravens. Um, But then again, it's hard to think that one of these teams are going to be ultimately are going to be 1-3.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, the Chargers are 3-0 in the West, in the AFC West.
Mm.
So the Chiefs can't really afford to lose this game because potentially there'll be 3, maybe 4 games behind the Chargers, depending what the Chargers do this week. Well, Guto, let's be honest. One of the biggest news stories of the week, undoubtedly, is what's going on in terms of the quarterback room up in New York with the Giants. After Russell Wilson, after having potentially one of the best games of his life 2 weeks ago, had a really tough outing against the Chiefs. Ultimately, they lost. The Giants lost 22-9. Apparently, he was being booed after coming off the field as well. And now, Brian Dable, the coach, has said that they're going to make a switch. And finally, we're going to see Jackson Dart. And I have to say, Guto, to be fair, at the beginning of the season, you did say within the first 4 weeks that we would say Jackson Dart. So fair
Yeah.
play.
I
You
think I
predicted it.
predicted 4 to 6 weeks, and
Yeah,
no disrespect to Russell Wilson, but I am so excited to
me too.
watch Jackson Dart play. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite players. I enjoyed watching him play. I've seen some of his college highlights. He's an unbelievable quarterback.
Mm.
Seeing him play in preseason, he had an outstanding preseason.
Yeah, looks good.
Besides our boy Tyson Bagent, who have to be said as well. But Jackson Dart, he'll be starting off the new revolution for the Giants, I think. Starting in this game. Not an easy game though, however. They're going up against, like you just mentioned before, a 3-0 team of the Chargers.
Yeah,
Playing in New York in MetLife Stadium. We have picked this game for our 5 of the week, and we
yeah,
both agreed. We have gone with a Jackson Dart masterclass, and we've
yes.
gone with a Giants win. So I'm really looking forward to watching this game. I'm looking forward to watching Jackson Dart play. I do hope he has a good game as well. I would say this is an exciting time for the Giants fans as well, watching a new young up and coming quarterback play for them. My question, David, to you
Yeah.
is Russell Wilson's time up at the Giants already? Do you see him staying for the season, or
Oh, I think he's going to remain. He's going to remain as the backup because they've got Jameis Winston behind
Winston?
him as QB3 as well.
Yeah.
I do- I do- I think Russell Wilson's time as a starter in the NFL is done.
Okay.
Personally,
Mm.
I don't see, unless there's a major injury elsewhere. I
Mm.
don't see any team trading for Russ. Um, I think he's just too inconsistent
Yeah.
at the
Mm.
moment. He's in his, I want to say mid to late 30s as well.
Believe
So I'm
so.
not sure. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if age is catching up with him as well in terms of his consistency. But to be fair, in week 2, gosh, some of his throws looked so pretty, especially to Malik Neighbors. However, we have seen the Giants young star wide receiver Malik Neighbors, who is is definitely top 3 or top 5 in my favorite players in the NFL at the moment.
Yeah.
He is what an absolute baller. Anyway, um, you saw him frustrated with Russ or the team during the first 3 weeks of the season. Like I said, we've picked the Giants to win. I think it's just written in the stars. I know the Chargers are 3-0 are coming into East Rutherford and MetLife Stadium. I don't know. I think there's something in the air. There's something in the air that the Giants are going to win.
I
And
agree.
I'm still not convinced on the Chargers. Unfortunately, I know this is me, and to be fair, Justin Herbert looks very good at the moment. He's looking really good, and ultimately, and I think the Chargers defense look pretty decent as well. But I don't know. Something tells me that the Giants are going to take this one.
Yeah, like you said, it's written in the stars. I think Jackson Dart, he's going to have a really good start in
Yeah,
his
yeah,
regular season career with the Giants.
yeah.
it's in the script, like they all say.
Yeah.
So, but this is probably one of the games to watch. You see two great a quarterback wide receiver duo of
Yeah.
dad and neighbours. That's an exciting duo to watch, and I think Giants fans they should be excited about that for years and years to come. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
we've got Giants on this one. So we've got Chiefs and we've got the Giants so far in
Yeah.
our 5 of the week.
And especially if that prolific Giants defensive line can get after Justin Herbert, which I think they can as well.
Yeah,
With
yeah,
Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter. Who else have they got? Brian Burns. Gosh,
mm,
they've got some real dogs on there. So hopefully, if all things goes to plan and Jackson Dart plays well, definitely see a Giants win here.
yeah,
However, Gito, we could be here a week later, and it could be an absolute, it could be a baptism of fire for Jackson Dart as well. But from what we've seen, especially in preseason, I know preseason is different, but he looked really composed,
he
and the
does.
throws that he was making, he looked fearless, didn't he? So if
Yeah,
you can take that attitude into regular season football, who knows what can happen.
yeah,
So that's two games. Let's get on to the next game. Gito, do you want to pick the next game? Do you want to go
yeah.
to our is the international game one of our five
Yes.
of the week?
So we're in Dublin. So well, not us, unfortunately, but the NFL is visiting Dublin, Ireland
Yeah.
this weekend, as you can see in
Yeah.
the thumbnail as well of our podcast. Um, yeah, the Steelers are hosting the game against the Minnesota Vikings. It will be Aaron Rodgers against Carson Wentz.
Carson
Unfortunately,
Wentz,
not
yeah.
JJ McCarthy. The Vikings will be in London next week as well against the Broncos, I believe. So they'll be doing two
Yeah.
international games. So quite a long trip for them. But this will be an early game for us here in the UK and Ireland.
Mm.
2:30 game. So there will be an all-day slate of NFL games for us
Yes.
on Sunday, which is exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Always good.
I'm really looking forward
Always
to
good.
watching this game. Ireland, I don't know if you've seen images, videos of Dublin throughout the week, but the way they've decorated the city
Yeah.
with the flags. Have you seen the NFL stores, the Steelers
Yeah.
official shop? It looks incredible in Dublin, and I would have loved to be there. However, with the Steelers hosting against the Minnesota Vikings and the way Carson Wentz played for the Vikings last week,
Mm.
we've both gone with the Vikings to win, David.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. Again, even though the Steelers are 2-1, I believe. Again, I'm not convinced by what I've seen from Aaron Rodgers. Ultimately I'm not convinced by the Pittsburgh defense, which usually is their strong point. And I know they've got a few injuries. As well, I believe Darius Slay isn't going to be playing in this one. Their cornerback opposite Jalen Ramsey. I think it's going to take a little bit longer for the Pittsburgh Steelers to click. And obviously, there's going to be a big following for them over in Ireland. And like you said, the Irish are the best hosts, aren't they? You can imagine.
Yeah.
They've gone full brand gung ho over there, and I'm sure as an experience, I don't think you can get much better than an Irish game day experience. I can imagine, like
Yeah.
they host their rugby games over there at the Viva Stadium as well. So yeah, we could be completely wrong. Carson Wentz looked decent. I think he's more of a distributor, isn't he? Because he's got Justin Jefferson. Their tight end Hawkinson had a heck of a game last week as well. So this is basically going to be on, can the Steelers defense ultimately step up to the plate,
Yeah.
and stop, just like I said, a high flying Vikings offense. Even though I say that with Carson Wentz as well, and are they going to be able to run the ball as well? So this is going to be an interesting game. I'm not fully convinced either way, but we've gone with the Vikings, haven't we?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm happy with that as well. I think Justin Jefferson's going to run through the defense, to be honest with you, which he normally does week in, week out anyway.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, he's not very convincing to me either, to be honest with you. You've seen him do a couple of mistakes. Obviously, that massive one against the Seahawks week 2,
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah.
That it was just lazy in the end, I think, in my
I know.
opinion. So, but the Steelers still need to step up here, especially them being the host in Dublin. And
Yeah.
like I said, speaking of the Dublin, and I agree with you with what you said. I can just imagine how great it will be on that Sunday, all day in Dublin, and I hope we get to see a game in Dublin every year from this year onwards, and obviously
Yeah.
more international games. Cardiff in a few years. That's the dream, David. So, but
Yeah.
we'll leave it that as it is. But no, this is going to be a really good game to watch. It'll be a good spectacle to watch.
Yeah.
And yeah, for us, we got the Vikings winning this one, which I'm really happy with. Um, we'll go to our next game. We spoke
Yes.
about the Buccaneers earlier. We spoke about Baker Mayfield. They will be hosting no, yes, hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Two
Yes.
teams, 3 and
Yes.
0. I'm going to give the viewers our answer off the bat. We've gone with the Buccaneers. We think the Eagles' luck is going to run out. Um,
I completely agree.
yeah.
The Eagles' offense very strange at the moment. I'm not sure what's going on.
Mm.
The week before, week two, when the Eagles beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead, just Jalen Hurts rather only threw for 100 yards.
Mhm.
Um, they didn't really run the ball either. And I know this whole thing about the tush push is being brought up. Should it be banned? The only thing that I would say about the tush push, and I know if Johan is listening, who is an avid Eagles fan, and I know he's an offensive lineman himself. And I believe his season with Brunel University in London is starting very, very soon. So, Johan, pob lwcus, good luck to you.
Good luck, you on.
He's touring the London scene at the moment. He's going from theatre to theatre. So he's clearly enjoying himself up there in London. But anyway, back to the game. They missed the officials missed a massive false start on the Eagles in their last victory last week, which ultimately 2 plays later they did another tush push and they scored a touchdown.
Mm.
So whichever side of the argument you're on, I think it all comes down to how it's officiated and the officiating. The referees really need to get this right as well. They missed
Mm.
a massive call there. Would it have made a difference against the Rams? Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, definitely the Eagles, well, their offense aren't flying on cylinders as well. And I thought the Rams, at times, especially first half, they were tearing through their defense as well, which we haven't seen for a while. So that's why I'm not convinced that the Eagles are going to turn up against the Bucks. And once again, with that connection between Baker and Emeka Buka, obviously losing Mike Evans is going to be big for the Buccaneers as well. So I think they might going to have to rely on their defense during this game.
Yeah, I feel bad for Mike Evans as well. He's on the verge of, well, if he plays well this season, if he plays a full season, he'll be the highest to reach 11,000 yards every season. He
Yeah, at least so 1,000 yards or more every single season. So yeah, is it going to be at least? I think it's 11 or 12 seasons in a row,
That's
which has
it.
never
Yeah,
been.
so
He's tied the record
he's
at the
tied.
moment. Yeah,
Yes. So I do feel bad for him. I hope, as a just a normal viewer, I hope he does come back
yeah,
soon, and he has a chance to actually break that record as well.
yeah,
So it's a big blow for the Buccaneers. But we did mention this is Emeka's Ibuka's time to step up, and
yeah.
he's for us he's already Rookie of the Year so far.
Oh, he's
Um,
a front runner, isn't he?
He's
Definitely.
definitely the front runner. So, and I do think Eagles' luck is going to run out. They got
Mm.
I think they were very lucky against the
Yeah,
Rams.
yeah.
It
Me
was a
too.
blocked field goal that went to a pick six in the end. The Rams should have won that game. It
Yeah,
has to be said they should have won that game. So, but I think the Eagles' luck is going to run out in this game against the Buccaneers. This is going to be
yeah.
another tasty one, a 6 o'clock game here in the
Right.
UK. So it's going to be a tasty one
Excellent.
for us.
There we are. So we've covered 4. Gito, tell us what's our last game for 5 of the week going to be?
So we've got a revenge game here. We've got the Dallas Cowboys against the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, Micah
Nice.
Parsons switching teams
Turn.
from Cowboys to the Packers. We've gone with the Cowboys to win, David.
Yeah. Now, this might sound a little bit crazy for a lot of the viewers out
Mm.
there, because ultimately the Cowboys looked so poor on defense last week. And the only other thing, Guitar, is I believe CD Lamb is going to be out of this game because he's got a high ankle sprain. So
Mm.
we're going to have a lot of Dak to George Pickens, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah,
And whether I think the Packers are going to play two poor games in a row, like they lost to the Cleveland Browns last week, by
yeah.
the way, which we haven't mentioned, which was probably one of that was the shock of the week, I have to say,
As you said,
especially the Packers
yeah,
looking so prolific, going 2-0 at Lambeau. However, not that I'm patting myself on the back, but I did say I'd love to see how they deal or how they play outside of Lambeau. And ultimately, they lost. They lost to a Cleveland in a really ugly game. I think it was what 13-10, with Cleveland
yeah,
winning on the last second field goal.
yeah. I didn't want to believe you, David, but you've twisted my arm on this one. And
Uh,
they, because I've really enjoyed watching Green Bay the first 2 weeks,
yeah,
and I had it in me that they were going to carry on this streak for weeks and weeks and weeks. But obviously,
yeah,
I wrote down in my notes. I write notes every time I watch the games. Green Bay, not a lot of spark against the Browns. That's all I wrote. There was no,
yeah,
and that was the highlight. There was just no spark there. I don't know
yeah,
what it was. Um, a very ugly game as well. Like you said, very low
yeah.
scoring game. 13-10, a last second field goal
Mm,
for the Browns. So it wasn't a good viewing for the Green Bay. And they have to go to Dallas, which
yeah,
obviously they're missing some of their key players. They're missing CD Lamb, but it's not an easy place to go.
yeah.
We did speak about the Cowboys earlier on in the episode, but um, after giving this some thought, I have to agree with you. I can see it go either way, but I am happy to go with the Cowboys on this one.
Yeah, I mean, and
Mm.
ultimately we're here for a little bit of fun, aren't we?
Yeah.
Even if it's unrealistic,
Mm.
there's a very, very good chance, like you said, that the Packers are going to get back on the horse here,
Mm.
and they're going to show, their dominance ultimately over the Dallas defense. But yeah, like you said, Jordan Love really, really didn't look comfortable in that pocket as well, because Miles Garrett, and we know how good he is. He was
Mm.
just an absolute wrecking ball, wasn't he, against the Packers
Yeah.
offensive line? So yeah, we'll definitely look out for that one. So just before we finish, Guitar, so you mentioned quickly that the Falcons are going to be against the Commanders
The
this week.
Commanders. Yes.
Looking for a bounce back game, obviously. Penix is starting there.
Yeah.
Did I see somewhere that Drake London suffered an injury, or is he okay?
I believe he is going to be okay.
Good.
It didn't look too.
Daniel Mooney is back as well.
We have Daniel Mooney back.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how they get on after the wide receiver coach, obviously getting
Yes.
the kick goodbye.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how we go. As long as we have a decent bounce back, as long as we have a decent performance, score some points. By
Yeah.
points, I mean touchdowns.
Yeah.
We only scored, even though we had an impressive win against the Vikings, we only scored one touchdown in the end.
Yeah.
So hope we get some more touchdowns. Hope we get to see more of the ball for Drake London, for Drake Mooney. They both got 1,000 yards last season. So far, it
Yeah.
doesn't look so good for them. Um, Kyler Pitts, whether he's healthy, he looks to be off and on so far this season.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson he's our rock so far. So, but hopefully for a nice little bounce back this week against the Commanders.
Yeah. Definitely, and yeah,
Mm.
like you said, I think the catalyst for a Falcons win would be ultimately if you can get your running game going. If you
Yeah.
can do that, it opens up so
Mm.
many other things, and ultimately takes the pressure off Penix as well. So yeah, so Falcons at home. against the Washington Commanders, like we said, coming into town. The return of Marcus Mariota as well, former Falcons
Yeah.
QB. The Dolphins are back in Miami, and they will be hosting the New York Jets. So we have two 0-3 teams here.
Yeah.
Dare I call this the trash bowl, as they say? So one of these teams are going to be 0-4 unless there's a tie, which I hope, which is not going to be beneficial for any team. But Gito, the most exciting thing about this game is the rivalry uniforms. We're going to see the Dolphins rivalry uniforms, which I absolutely love. It's kind of a take on Miami Vice,
Mm.
but they've gone for orange instead of pink, and I wish they would have gone with pink, because if they got of that, it probably would have been one of the best tops or best uniforms that I've ever seen. I think a lot of people have said that the Dolphins jersey is probably up there with one of the best rival uniforms. I do like the
Yeah.
Bills one as well.
Mm.
And tonight actually was going to be the first official rivalry game between the Cardinals and the Seahawks.
Yes.
So yeah, Dolphins back at home against the Jets, two 0-3 teams. I was gonna say no major injuries. However, the only thing that I'll say to get is apparently apparently we're going to see Darren Waller for the first time for the Dolphins, and obviously he's going to unlock the offense. And we're gonna score easily against the Jets, and the defense are gonna tighten up instead of basically, you know, giving them an open goal, as we say here in football, in football or soccer terms, and say go and score on us. And but ultimately, the Jets offense. And it'll be interesting to see who's going to be the QB. Is it going to be Tyrod Taylor again, or is Justin Fields? Because I believe he was still in concussion protocol
Yeah.
after last week. There's a good chance he might be back for this game as well.
Mm. Do you see this being a risk? Not a risk, but if you don't win this game, do you see question marks over Mike McDaniel? I think it would have been harsh to, because obviously you mentioned your loss against the Bills,
Yeah.
that there was questions, there was fans wanted him gone. I think that was a little bit harsh against the Bills. Against the Jets, who are 0-3, potentially without the star quarterback Justin Fields,
Mhm.
being in Miami as well.
Mm.
If you do lose this game, do you see how you can recover? Do you see a future with Mike McDaniel or?
If we go 0-4, I see changes.
Mm.
What those changes would be, I genuinely don't know. There's talk of Gitter, even us firing our DC, our defensive coach,
Mm.
um, which ironically would potentially take over head coaching duties if they'd sack Mike McDaniel as well. Um,
Yeah.
just nothing is working for the Dolphins at the moment. And I think Ito as well. If the Dolphins go 0-4, we've heard the rumors already, but the Dolphins might be open to trading some of their star players. We've heard the rumors of Tyreek going back to Kansas City because they badly need some wide receivers.
Yeah.
Um, Tyreek is going to be leaving the Dolphins after the end of the season, whatever happens, because he's going to be cut because of his salary. However,
Mm.
I do see him being traded, especially if the Dolphins are out of playoff contention. Another person that we might see traded as well is one of our edge defenders, Bradley Chubb, potentially Jalen Phillips. I don't really know, but I really hope the Dolphins don't mess it up against the Jets, because the Jets they're a poor team, Guitar, and I know the
Yeah.
Dolphins are a poor team as well, but we're at home. I hope we there were some positive signs against the Bills. Um, but ultimately, Gito, our quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is coming up against. He's coming up against massive criticism at the moment. A
Yeah.
lot of a lot of people are saying that he's the one that's holding the offense back. Um, and I think as long as if we can run the ball against the Jets, we will win, despite what our defense is. Because one of my favorite Dolphins player, Devon Achan, our running back, is having a fantastic season, and we were able to run the ball against the Buffalo Bills defense. So yeah, I'm going to have everything crossed. It's a Monday night game. Anything can happen, but it's going to be really, really miserable if the Dolphins lose and go to 0-4.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it won't be good. It won't be good. But so I wish you all the best on that one, David. Will you be watching it live?
Yes. Pardon?
Will you be watching it live?
Oh yes, yeah. Like I said, it's a Monday night game, but it starts. So there's two Monday night games this week. I think it's because of the rivalry uniforms. So we are
Yes.
the kickoff is at 12:15, which is not as bad. Usually it'd be 1:15, but it's quarter
Yeah.
past 12. So
Yeah.
I'll definitely be watching that 100%.
Yeah. Broncos and Bengals will be the second Monday
Yes.
night game. So that will be the quarter past
Yeah.
one game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick last question before we end the podcast regarding
Yeah.
the Dolphins. Obviously, do you think the extended rest between the Bills game, which was a Thursday night game, and this game being a midnight game, do you think that will help your team or?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. We badly needed it after, like I said, a really good performance. Ultimately, it finished in a loss. A lot of time to review the tape. There's a
Mm.
lot of fine tuning to do, obviously. And if Darren Waller is going to play for the first time this season, like I said, he's been given 9 or 10 days to get some throwing practice in with Tua catching the ball, and hopefully we're going to be fresh as well because the Jets travelled to the Buccaneers. They travelled to Tampa as well. Whether they went back to New York and back down to Miami again, I doubt it. They've probably stayed in Florida as well. But yeah, we've got 2 extra days of rest. I can only see it benefiting us, the
Yeah.
Dolphins as well. So yeah, hopefully, I'm not sure if that's going to be a factor in the game. It might be, it might not be. But yeah, I'm just crossing everything, Gito, that we're finally going to win a game.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish you all the best, David. I do.
Yeah. Well, there we are. I think that's going to wrap things up for this week. Yeah, so look out for five of the week games that we've called. Some big calls they get to, obviously. But we'll review everything when we come back for another episode of the NFL Cymru podcast next week. Gito, enjoy your weekend. I'm sure your dad will enjoy the Pittsburgh game, even though, like we said, he's in New York.
Mm.
Game in Dublin between the Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Best of luck to the Falcons, obviously, and the Dolphins. If you're watching the NFL this weekend, best of luck to your teams as well, and obviously enjoy the incredible entertainment that is the National Football League. Like I said, me and Gito will be back this time next week. Enjoy your weekend. Until then, see you later. Diolch yn fawr iawn.